There's something you're still holding on to, and deep down, you know it. Maybe it's a version of yourself that no longer exists. Maybe it's a memory, something you said or didn't say. Or maybe it's just the idea that things should have turned out differently. You keep walking forward, but mentally, emotionally, you're gripping something behind you with white knuckles. And the thing is, no one sees it. You still show up, laugh, scroll, nod. But when it gets quiet, when it's just you and your thoughts, that old weight returns. It's subtle, but it lingers. It's not just sadness. It's a tightness in your chest, a restlessness in your mind, a background noise that never really turns off. And here's the strange part. Most of us don't even realize how tight we're holding. We think we're tired, unmotivated, stuck. But really, we're just not letting go. We're fighting battles in our minds that have already ended. Because letting go isn't always about forgiveness or closure. Sometimes it just means deciding not to carry it anymore, even if you don't have the answers, even if no one apologized, even if it still hurts. So here's the question. What if your biggest struggle right now isn't something to solve, but something to finally set down? Here's the trap most people fall into, and they don't even notice it. We think that by holding on, we're protecting ourselves, that if we just keep replaying what happened or how things could have gone, we'll somehow find peace or safety or control. But the truth is, we don't hold on because it helps us move forward. We hold on because it gives our pain a place to live. It becomes familiar, and that's dangerous. Familiar pain can start to feel like comfort because at least it's known. And the brain, it loves the known. It would rather cling to the past and suffer in predictability than step into the unknown and risk being free. Sounds ridiculous, but it's how most of us live without realizing. Think about it. How many times have you replayed the same argument in your head? How many days did you carry someone else's opinion of you like it was your identity? How many nights did you lie there, thinking about what you should have done differently, as if your thoughts could time travel and fix it? That's not healing. That's self-imposed punishment, and we wear it like armor, but it only makes us heavier. The longer you grip something that's already gone, the more you bleed from your own grip. Not because of what happened, but because of the way you refuse to let go of it. But here's where it gets really wild. Sometimes what we're holding on to isn't even ours. It's someone else's story, someone else's guilt, someone else's standards, expectations, or mistakes that got passed down to us. Like invisible luggage, we carry it so long we start to believe it belongs to us. And we never stop to ask, what would I feel like if I finally dropped this? That's the question that scares people the most, because letting go doesn't just change how you feel. It forces you to face the version of yourself that's been buried under all that weight. And that version of you, yeah, that's the one that was meant to live. Okay, so let's be honest for a second. Letting go sounds nice, right? All peaceful and wise and liberating. But in reality, letting go is terrifying, because when you let go, you're not just releasing a situation, you're releasing a version of yourself that was built around it. You're stepping out of the identity that was shaped by the thing you held on to. And that's where most people freeze. Not because they don't want peace, but because peace requires the death of a familiar self. Letting go of that relationship, you're not just letting go of the person, you're letting go of the version of you who waited for the text, who overthought every silence, who shaped their day around someone else's moods. Letting go of an old goal, you're not just quitting something. You're letting go of the identity you thought you'd grow into. And that feels like failure, even if it's freedom. We hold on, not because it makes us stronger, but because we don't know who we are without the weight. It's strange how pain becomes part of our routine, how we start to structure our days around it, check our memories like emails, reread the same painful moments, convince ourselves that if we just understand it better, we'll finally be okay. But healing doesn't come from understanding more. It comes from carrying less. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is not analyze it or fix it or solve it, but simply to say, I don't need to hold this anymore. Like, imagine if you walked around all day holding a chair. Everywhere you went, restaurant, shower, even to bed, you carried this heavy chair. People would look at you like, bro, just put it down. And you'd go, no, you don't understand. This is my chair. I've had it for years. It's important. That's what most people's emotional lives look like. And the saddest part, they forget what it feels like to walk without it. They forget what it's like to move freely, to breathe, and all that space we could be using to live gets used up holding on to something we already outgrew. So here's the part no one talks about enough. Letting go doesn't leave you empty. It creates space dash. And space is where the real change happens. But here's the catch. That space, it doesn't get filled right away. And that freaks people out. We're so used to having something occupy us. A thought, a goal, a person, a problem, that when it's gone, we don't know how to sit with the silence. You let go and suddenly there's this weird calm. Not peace, not yet, but just silence. And silence can feel like something's wrong because you're not used to it. You start questioning yourself. Did I make a mistake? Am I just giving up? But the truth is, you're not giving up. You're clearing space for something that actually aligns. Because when you're holding on to something that isn't meant for you anymore, you're not just carrying extra weight. You're blocking what's meant to come in. Like, think of your life as a room. If every wall is covered in old posters, broken shelves, and junk you don't even like anymore, there's no room for anything new. Even if someone shows up with something beautiful, you'd have to say, sorry, no space. That's how people miss out on growth, on love, on clarity, not because it isn't available, but because they're still full of what they won't release. Letting go feels like loss in the short term, but it's really an invitation to let life surprise you again, to feel light, to not be so exhausted by your own thoughts every day, to not wake up and rehearse old stories, to not live in loops where nothing changes, even though you're tired of everything staying the same. And, it takes courage, real courage, to trust that empty space isn't a punishment, it's potential. Because when you stop holding on to what hurts, you begin to hold space for what heals. Let me ask you something that might sound simple, but it's actually the most confronting question of all. Who are you without it? Without the weight, the memory, the storyline you've rehearsed so many times. Without the guilt, the what-ifs, the imaginary versions of how life should have gone. Most people don't even realize this, but the longer you hold on to something, the more it becomes part of your identity. You're not just carrying the thing, you're becoming the person who carries it. You build routines around it. You make decisions through it. You protect it, defend it, feed it, nurture it, even though it's been hurting you for years. And then, letting go doesn't feel like release. It feels like erasing yourself, because if you've spent years thinking of yourself as the one who got left, or the one who always overthinks, or the one who messed up and can't recover, then what happens when you stop being that? You meet someone new, you, and that's terrifying, because you've been so busy surviving through what happened. You haven't had the space to ask what life might look like when you're not just reacting to pain. That version of you, the one on the other side of letting go, they're not a stranger, they're you, before the weight, before the mask, before you felt like you had to hold it all together just to function. But here's the thing, you don't lose yourself by letting go. You return to yourself. You come back clearer, lighter, more honest, more present. You're not carrying old chapters into every new moment. You're not leaking your past into relationships that deserve better. You're not looking for healing in places that only offer distraction. And once you get even a glimpse of that version of you, the one who's no longer defined by what hurt them, you'll realize that letting go was never a loss. It was a homecoming. Let's be real. Holding on doesn't always look like suffering. It's not always crying at night or feeling sad all day. Sometimes it's just subtle. It's feeling drained, even when nothing's happening. It's waking up tired, not because you didn't sleep, but because your mind never really rests. It's that background tension, the kind that follows you into conversations, into your work, into your friendships. You're there, but you're not really there. You're thinking, is this okay? Should I be different? Do they see what I'm hiding? You second guess your decisions. You hold back your voice. You shrink in moments when you should step forward. And you don't even know why. And here's the part that no one likes to admit. When we're holding on to the past, to guilt, to shame, to some version of how things were supposed to go, we become masters of distraction. We keep ourselves busy, scrolling, grinding, overthinking, planning, not because we're building something, but because slowing down would force us to feel, to face the quiet, to sit with the truth we've been avoiding. But you can only outrun yourself for so long. Eventually it catches up, not dramatically, just slowly, like a numbness that spreads. You stop getting excited about things. You stop dreaming. You stop showing up fully, not just for others, but for yourself. Because when you're carrying unresolved weight, you don't walk through life, you drag. And the wildest part, everyone thinks you're fine. You've learned how to smile, how to answer, I'm good, how to function like everything's under control. But under the surface, you're running on emotional fumes. And that's the cost. Not the tears or the pain, but the life you don't get to live, the joy you don't fully feel, the opportunities you avoid, the peace that never fully lands, all because of something you could have let go of. If someone had just looked you in the eye and said, you don't have to carry that anymore. So maybe this is that moment, right now, me looking at you through this screen, telling you you're allowed to release what you've outgrown, even if no one else sees it, even if part of you is scared, even if you don't know what comes next, because what comes next might be the first time you really feel free. So let's imagine this for a second. You let go, not dramatically, not with fireworks, just quietly, in your own way. Maybe it's a thought you stop feeding, a conversation you stop replaying, a version of yourself you stop judging. And at first, nothing seems to change. The world still moves. People still expect things from you. The mess is still there. Your inbox still fills up. Your past doesn't magically disappear, but something subtle shifts in you. You stop rushing to prove yourself. You breathe deeper without realizing it. Your shoulders drop an inch. You sleep better. You're not carrying everything into every moment anymore. You laugh, for real this time. Not because someone made a joke, but because something in you finally exhaled. That's what letting go does. It doesn't erase your story. It rewrites your relationship with it. It gives you back the energy you didn't know you were leaking. It brings you back to the present, the only place life actually happens. And yeah, people might not notice right away. You won't get a certificate, no gold star, no badge that says healed. But one day, you'll look in the mirror and realize you're not flinching anymore. You're not defending something invisible. You're not reacting from the same old wound. You're just here, living, and not dragging 50 pounds of emotional luggage into the moment with you. And that version of you, that one right there, they're real, they're light, and they're finally free to build something new, not from pain, but from peace. And maybe that's the scariest and most powerful part of all. Because when you finally stop holding on, you're not just letting go of the pain. You're giving yourself back everything that was waiting behind it. So if this hit something in you, if you felt that shift, comment the word released down below. No big explanation, just a signal that you're done carrying what's already done. And hey, whatever happens next, let it meet the version of you who finally made space, because now you're ready. Like always, Dash, Take care of yourself, my friend. Truly, you're already on your way.